While the two first seasons of Barry was something of a masterpiece, where they managed to blend the comedy and grand features of the show in a very good way, the third season was not as good, but this recent season number 4 was a complete disaster, because not only do they neglect everything that made the show good, it's also very few episodes that really entertain you. Other than the two last episodes, it is very little to brag about, and I'm not sure I will give the season a 4 out of 10 in total really, because it was really a drag to get through. That Barry himself turned to Christianity after getting released from prison after making a deal with the FBI is a kind of random story turn, which is not creative at all. Maybe that's some part of a bigger meaning, but it really adds nothing to the show and his character, and the same goes for Sally Reed, as this shitty life waitress kind of character who hides behind a wig and calls herself Emily. At least the third season did not bore you as much, and was in some parts entertaining when Barry tried to completely ditch his old ways as a killer, and it was about getting forgiveness from Kusanov with the kidnapping and a bag of money, which made that season a very promising start, which it could never hold up. Generally, it was miles away from the showdowns of season 2 and season 1, which had very good ending episodes. What also made the third season show some promise with a hate-love relationship between Barry and Fuchs, which gave you some of the most entertaining episodes in the show. It was a feature you had something of in the third season, but very little compared to the first two seasons, but at least the tension between the two characters could be felt a lot more than in this hopeless fourth season, where they just are concerned with the time jumping and have no ability to write a good story. I'm not sure I found one episode funny this time around, and that just shows how weak the season was, because at least in the third season you had all these crazy outbursts from Barry and Sally that made it so entertaining. But when they out of nowhere put this dumb childish idea that Barry was supposed to turn to Christianity, it just shows how bad this season became. And this season, let me tell you, it is a disgrace against how brilliant Barry really is at its best. Particularly, that could also be said about the last episode when the movie had been made about Barry and Kusanov from other actors, and that was perhaps some of the worst acting ever done in a show, because it was nowhere near how it was done by the two lead actors Bill Hader and Henry Winkler, and it is really a dying shame that they made it so bad. Hank was maybe the only character that held it a little together, because he was still somewhat entertaining, although this sand project was a sore excuse for a business plan. And also, why couldn't we watch when Fuchs and his men actually faced off against the guys that Hank actually sent to kill them? Instead, all we got were their heads in a bag, and although that was grotesque, it had been much better if you actually could see that showdown. While I was not happy with the third season either, it was at least a lot better than this disaster of a season where you feel they just rushed it to get Barry done as a show. That Barry eventually should get killed in the end, and the one doing that was Kusanov, may seem inevitable, but the moments leading up to that final moment should have been and could have been way more intense, because what they made is just a sad excuse for a season that should never have been made.